In this video, we are going to be checking out the upcoming Skoda 7-seat E, officially called the Space, which is coming in 2026. This is a large electric SUV that is based on the MEB platform, and it should offer around about 300 miles of range. Let's get into it. So, there has been some discussion around whether Skoda will actually make a 7-seat electric car, and the answer looks to be yes. So right now, they have the which is their 5-seat SUV and an S based on the MEB platform. And it comes with either a 62 or a 77 kilowatt-hours battery pack. Now, the larger of those two options gives you around about 500 kilometers or so of range, and that converts to just shy of 300 miles. And what Skoda is saying is that this new model called the Space, which is currently only a concept at the moment, but it will go into production in 2026. So that is not too far away. And they're saying that this new model will be based on the same platform as the ENAC, so it will be a MEB platform and it will likely share the same 62 and 77 kWh battery pack options. Now what they're saying is that the larger of those two options, the 77 kilowatt hours battery, will give you around 500 kilometers of range. But it is likely that that figure will be a little bit lower when it gets closer to launch, because the way that cars are being tested for range is getting tougher. So right now we have a lot of manufacturers claiming really optimistic figures for their electric vehicles, and the tests are getting tighter and tighter. So those figures are getting more realistic. And also bear in mind that the Space will be a larger car than the ENAC because it will have 7 seats. So the 7-seat model is likely to return a slightly lower range than the 5-seat version. But if it does share the same 77 kilowatt-hour battery, then that means it would offer around about 300 miles of range. Now, it isn't all bad news, though, because it is a larger car, and therefore, it is likely to need a larger battery. It could be that it actually shares the same 89 kilowatt-hours battery pack from the ID4, GTX, or even the Cupra Born. And if that was the case, then we could see upwards of 350 miles of range, or maybe even a little bit further. I know that a lot of people do want to like SUVs, and I am not particularly fond of them myself, but they do remain the popular choice for most people. So, it makes sense for manufacturers to release their EVs and SUV body styles first. And I mean, look at the Tesla Model Y, for example. That is one of the best-selling EVs in the world, and that's in part because it's an SUV. But it S, also because it S made by Tesla, and it S got a lot of their cool tech in there. The design of the Space concept that we can see here looks quite similar to the Vision 7S concept that we saw a couple of years ago. And that had a light bar connecting the headlights, which is something that Skoda have said they will be implementing across their new models. So the next generation of Skoda cars will all feature this light bar connecting the headlights. And it will also have the typical EV indicators in the headlights themselves. It'll have a very bold-looking front end, and it'll have the typical Skoda grille, which isn't actually a grille. It's just a blank panel. And of course, it will have the Skoda logo in the middle. If we move along to the side of the car, we can see that it's a very typical SUV design. It's got a lot of glass area, which is great for visibility. And we can also see that sloping roofline, which is another typical feature of an SUV these days. If we look in the rear, we can see that it does have quite a steep rear end. So, it's not going to be brilliant for boot space. But bear in mind that this is a 7-seat vehicle, so boot space probably won't be too much of an issue. And of course, it will have a light bar connecting the taillights as well. And we've seen this across other car manufacturers. Audi, BMW, and Mercedes have all implemented these light bars in their latest models. There are some details that we don't know yet. For example, we don't know exactly how many motors it will have. The concept here shows a dual motor setup with one motor on each axle, giving it 4-wheel drive. But it may be that there is only a single motor option, and it might be rear-wheel drive instead. But I would guess that most people buying this would want 4-wheel drive. And probably would you want even consider the single motor option if it is available. Another thing that we don't know about is charging speeds. Now we know that the MEB platform can support up to 135 kilowatt charging, and that S from a DC charger. And we don't know yet whether the Space will support that or not. but hopefully it does, because if it doesn't, then it would be a bit disappointing given that most other EVs in this price range and size do support 150 kilowatts of charging. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but I would say it is pretty likely that the Space will be built in the Czech Republic at Škoda's main plant in and of course it'll be built on the same production line as the Enyaq. So we don't have any information on pricing at the moment, but if we look at the Enyaq, which again is a 5-seat version, it starts at around 36,000 euros and goes up to around 50,000 euros for the top spec version. But the Space will be a larger car and it will be a 7-seat car. So it is likely to start from around 40,000 euros and go up to around 55,000 for the top spec version. But we will have to wait until nearer the time for exact pricing details. So overall, the Space looks like it will be a good, solid 7-seat EV SUV, but it's likely to be quite expensive. But if you're looking for a 7-seat EV right now, then your options are pretty limited. You've got the Tesla Model X, which starts at around £80,000, which is a lot of money, but it is a very impressive car. But if you don't mind buying used, then you could pick up a Tesla Model X for less than £70,000. There's also the Audi Q4 e-tron, which is a 5-seat car and it starts at around £56,000. But you can only get it with one motor and it's front-wheel drive, so that might not be suitable for everyone. And if you want to go for the dual motor version, then that starts at around £64,000. But the Space looks like it will be a good option for those who want a spacious 7-seat EV without spending over £60,000. But let me know in the comments below what you think of the Space, and also check out my other videos on EV.